In the low, flooded lands where three great rivers meet the sea, a tall green plant rises from the water each monsoon season. It is jute, and for more than 1,000 years it has clothed the poor, wrapped the harvests of empires, and carried the weight of the world inside coarse brown sacks. The people who grow it call it the golden fiber, for the color it takes on when it dries in the sun, and for the fortune it has brought to a corner of the earth that had little else to sell. The story of jute is the story of the Bengal Delta, a vast plain of silt and rain shared today by Bangladesh and the Indian state of West Bengal. Here, where the Ganges and the Brahmaputra and the Meghna pour their floods across the land, the soil is renewed each year with fresh mud, soft and fertile and warm. Few crops love this drowned country. Jute thrives in it. There are two species that matter. The first, called white jute, has been cultivated in this region since ancient times, woven into ropes and rough cloth by village hands long before any record was kept. The second, called Tossa jute, came later from Africa and gave a stronger, glossier fiber that the modern world would prize. Both are sown at the start of the rains, in March and April, scattered thickly across the soft fields. Within months they stand taller than a person, slender stalks crowned with small leaves, packed so close together that they grow straight toward the light. Jute asks for little. It needs warmth, it needs water, and it needs the heavy humid air that hangs over the delta for half the year. Harvest comes when the plants begin to flower, usually after about 4 months, when the stalks are cut low by hand with a curved blade. What follows is the oldest and most demanding part of the craft. The cut stalks are bundled and sunk beneath standing water for days or weeks, a process called retting. In the slow warmth of the ponds, bacteria loosen the fibers from the woody core. The smell is sharp and the work is hard, for men stand waist deep in the water, beating and stripping the long threads from the stems by hand. The freed fiber is washed, hung over bamboo frames, and dried until it gleams pale gold. Only then is it ready to be sold. For most of its history, jute was a humble local cloth, but in the 18th and 19th centuries it became a global commodity. Merchants in the Scottish city of Dundee learned to spin it by machine, softening the brittle fiber with whale oil, and built great mills that turned delta jute into sacking for the entire world. Bags of jute carried American cotton, Indian grain, Cuban sugar, and South American coffee. They held the sandbags of trenches in the world wars and the burlap that wrapped a century of trade. The raw fiber came from Bengal, but for generations the profit flowed to distant factories, a pattern that shaped the wealth and the poverty of the region for 100 years. In time, the mills came home. Calcutta grew its own great jute industry along the Hooghly River, and after Bangladesh won its independence, jute remained one of its proudest exports, a fiber so central to the young nation that it was woven into its very economy. Then came plastic. Cheap synthetic bags swept across the world in the second half of the 20th century, and demand for jute collapsed. Mills closed, growers suffered, and the golden fiber seemed a relic of an older age. Yet jute has found new life. In a world worried about plastic in its oceans and soil, a fiber that is natural, strong, and fully biodegradable looks less like the past and more like the future. It is woven now into bags and carpets, pressed into boards, blended into textiles, and studied as a material for a cleaner age. Roughly 9/10 of the world's jute still grows in the delta where it began, tended by millions of small farmers who planted in the rain as their ancestors did. The golden fiber endures, rooted in the mud of the great rivers, waiting once more for the world to remember what it is worth.